Now it's time for our regular deeper dive into events in the US, and with President Joe Biden set to deliver his second State of the Union address next week, protests are continuing to sweep across the country after the fatal beating of Tyre Nichols by police. Our American in Oz, Sarah James, joins us now. It was terrible, that footage. You couldn't bear to watch it, and we were talking to our reporter in Memphis yesterday about it all.
Yeah, horrifying. And indeed, the news out of the United States, out of Memphis, is that a sixth officer has been stood down. So the police department is responding quickly. They have disbanded the unit, the particular elite unit that is connected to this. But there's certainly questions swirling around police brutality and whether or not the Congress will do anything about it. And of course, this all follows what we watched here from Australia and, of course, in the United States related to George Floyd, and a question as to why this continues to happen in the United States. So as an answer, and perhaps not a very happy one, Congress is unlikely to do anything, unfortunately. And I say that because the legislation related to George Floyd and kind of intensifying attention to that passed the House but did not pass the Senate, and now we have divided government in Washington, so that's unlikely.
And this will partly overshadow the President's State of the Union speech next week in Washington.
It will certainly form something that he is going to address, and indeed, to that point, Tyre Nichols' parents will be there at the State of the Union. They've confirmed that they will be there. Of course, as we know, this will be taking place on February 7th, and it's an opportunity, both the First Lady and the President have an opportunity to highlight issues that they consider important by bringing people to sit basically there as part of their coterie. This, of course, is the meeting of the joint meeting of the House and Senate, where they come together. And another person who will be there is Brendan Say, and he is the hero in Monterey Park, where there have been these more mass shootings in the United States, and he was one of the heroes who wrested the weapon away, and he will be there as well. So two high-profile things there.
How's this document scandal,
classified documents?
You know, it's like, oh, look, I just found
they?
some under my papers here.
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of questions for President Biden in particular on this, because, of course, there was this high-profile search of Mar-a-Lago, former President Trump's residence, and a lot of outrage and indignation and the like. And suddenly, lo and behold, it appears that there are these classified documents that have turned up at President Biden's.
And again, sort of coming out, not all at once, but discovering a few more as the search then intensifies.
Yeah, it's just never a good look, is it? That kind of 2-month time lapse between when you knew it and when you said anything about it. I don't care what country you live in. That's just a really long time. So and of course reasons have been given, judicial process, blah, blah. But the reality is it's going to be, what I want to kind of mark here is pay attention, because this will be an issue in the upcoming campaign. And will he run? Will he not?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, going back to the State of Union address. He'll obviously get that away as president, and then perhaps become president-stroke candidate, announcing his intentions in 2024, sometime after the State of the Union.
Right. And so, of course, do we know for sure that he's going to run? Well, he sure looks like a candidate, I think, is what we're going to say. And will his age be a factor? He turned 80 in November. Former President Trump is 76, so it's, old and older, I think, potentially running. Former President Trump is going to have some competition. So these will all be factors that are at play in the U.S. political arena. I did want to mention one non-political issue that's getting a lot of attention right now, and that is Pew Research Center, which is this highly regarded research center, has done some work into mental health issues among young people post-COVID. And I mention this because I think this is an area of interest here in Australia as well, as we look at the mental health of young people. And they found that parents are very concerned, that fully 40% of parents are concerned about depression and anxiety in their children. They're also worried about bullying at school. One area that would be different, 22% are worried about their children getting shot. very different. But the reality is that mental health piece is of real significance. And Sesame Street, one of the big names in America, has a new program, Sesame Street Communities. I think we might have some video there of how you talk to your children about traumatic events in communities. So again, looking for ways to reach out to children who have been affected by the swirling issues that surround all of us at this time.
Yeah, and certainly shared here in Australia, that's for sure, by a lot of parents.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome. Great to see you both.
Good to see you too.